Yeah,
Boop boop.
droids.
Droids.
That's on point.
Hey, I wasn't even trying.
There you go.
There
That's
we
on
go. Boop
brand.
boop beep boop boop.
Oh right. So no bang gang.
No bang gang. Not this week. I don't think.
No bang gang.
I'm waiting for the right manic episode. You know.
But I got bangs.
I know, but
I got bangs for the gang.
I'm not there yet. I'm
Oh.
uncomfortable with the studio right now. It's not even a studio. Okay.
Welcome to another episode of Nerd Herder. I'm your herd
Welcome.
leader, John Wayne.
Welcome to my nightmare.
That's Megan. Yay! And
Oh,
oh gosh,
yay. We've
I
been
feel like we've got
watching.
an echo. Is it just me?
It's a
Is it
little bit of an
a
echo,
little
but I
bit of
think
an
it's just
echo?
because we're not very close to the microphones. I
Yeah,
think
it's probably just the depression. Anyway,
it's better
so
now.
if you want to know what the Bang Gang is and you're not a YouTube viewer of ours, you'll have to look at uh, Herd Mom's uh, Twitter, where
Twitter.
somewhere on the internet there will be a picture of the Bang Gang.
Listen,
I was ready.
I'm not ready.
Clear, you're halfway there.
I'm at whoa.
Whoa, oh, oh, oh,
I'm not ready.
Bon Jovi. Um,
Joe Bon Jovi.
so we this one's been in the pipe for a little while. No real good reason why.
Yeah, we
It's
just got a
just
plumber.
yeah, we got a plumber. He got the bagpipes out, and now it's just everything's flowing like it should. And so we're here to talk about droids, and we put it out there on the social medias because we wanted to hear from folks of what their kinds of favorite droids were. And I specifically asked two things because everybody always talks about like what's your favorite droid, and
Yeah.
you know, I mean, what's your favorite droid? Like the list gets dominated by certain pill-shaped droids, certain cutesy pootsies, certain save the galaxy and put up with the Skywalkers kind of droids, and that's fine. We know them, we love them.
Yeah, they're valid.
Yeah, but come on. In the galaxy far, far away, we only have two, maybe. You know, you have the occasional Chopper and K2, and
Yeah.
like, but it's always the same dynamic duo who about a year ago got their own episode on Nerd Herder as the best couple of the galaxy far, far away
Yes, in fact they
with
are.
C3PO and R2. And so mostly R2. Like
Yeah.
C3PO comes along because you can't not invite the spouse, but you know, like either way, some people like him. You know,
Yeah.
some people out there
Your
like C3PO.
opinion has certainly changed.
Yes, absolutely. Which and Anthony Daniels recently celebrated his birthday, so
Yes,
that's
he
nice.
did. Happy birthday, Anthony. You
I
were fantastic on the Muppet Show.
oh yeah, he was very into it. The thing with C3PO, I guess, always was I kind of saw him through the eyes the character saw him through, and that's just utter annoyance and disdain. And I think I never saw the character that Anthony was going for, um, or Tony. Is it Tony's short for Anthony, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody like. It's so weird. It's the same of like oh my gosh, there's one dude where it's like everybody calls him the shortened version of his name, like Jim Cameron.
Yeah.
Who were you gonna say?
I was gonna say Sly. Sylvester
Yeah,
Stallone.
well, but that's because when your name's Sylvester, you just you work with it
Yeah.
because your name's Sylvester.
I mean, how else are you gonna deal
Why
with
do you
being
think
a
he's so
putty
jacked?
tat?
Yeah,
Like,
why do you think he's so jacked and you know did those movies? You know, he had to make up
he
for
did
it.
do those movies, didn't he?
So you know. Anyway, but yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I got sidetracked with the whole thing. It's just weird when like the world knows James Cameron and like
Yeah.
it's just the thing.
And then every so often someone will call him Jim. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's just like whoa.
Yeah. Do you
Like
know how far he went into the ocean?
right, it
Like,
was so
it was
far
so
down.
deep.
No one ever did it before. Um,
It's the
so
mustache and the bangs. I swear to beans, I'm gonna like
the
cut your
bangs are
hair
powerful.
in your sleep
The
tonight.
bangs are powerful.
I'm gonna be a midnight barber.
Please don't. I'm going for Qui-Gon here, so
I
I'm
know.
like at least a year away, and
I
then I can pull it off. I think.
I think we need to take a moment and mention that. Is
People think
that
it's quarantine hair. It's not. I just
no,
want to.
exactly like
It's that point in my life where I make decisions that are questionable but don't hurt anybody.
yeah, and that's perfectly fine. Like I cut my own hair recently.
Yeah, and it looks fantastic.
It doesn't, but I
Yes,
appreciate
it
you.
does. You are overly critical of yourself. That's the anxiety talking. Stop it.
I have imposter syndrome. No,
Among
I
Us.
do. I'm practicing
Who turned off the
self-denial.
lights? Anyway, so R2C3PO, we have our favorites, and then
Yeah.
occasionally people throw out like Chopper and K2 and certain ones that obviously people like because they are given so much personality and everything. So, and again, with 3PO, I had to see the character that Anthony was putting into it, not just see him through. And I honestly think that's if not to a worse degree, some of what happened with Ahmed Best with Jar Jar's, everybody saw him through the lens of the characters, not
Yeah.
through you know, for the character he was or was going for. So, but anyway, that's a different biopic and everything. But so with everybody
The way
being
that you
so,
pronounce words sometimes.
what?
It's a biopic.
No, it's not.
It's
A
bio.
biopic sounds like something you do in anatomy class. Like a
No,
biopic sounds like
it's
film.
short for biography.
Yeah, biopic.
Biopic.
Well, but they say psychopathy or psychopathy instead of psychopathy.
If you're really, really pretentious, I feel like
You
the
mean
bangs are getting
you
to
mean
you.
a psychiatrist? You mean if you're a psychiatrist and you pronounce things the right way?
Whatever, guy.
Anyway,
Whatever.
so we wanted to take time to talk about droids as a whole because
Mm-hmm.
with so many big characters dominating the field, certain things get overlooked, and also we can start to define an entire field of character or thought even by specific faces.
Yeah.
Like we see Jedi through a few specific lenses. We try to boil things down as humans because we're so meat-headed. It has to be simple. And although we love complex, we also like to understand complex just to make it simple. And so, like, I feel like droids and most genres, or not genres, but most demographics in Star Wars suffer from that, where we we give faces to these things, and it's just like
Yeah.
every Jedi is a mix of Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, and Depa Billaba, and that's just it. That's what you get. Some of them are fishes, but they're still those three people,
Some of them are A-list Kira and wear very sexy belly shirts.
right? Which
Also, a little bit of
that's a
Mace
lot
Windu.
of navel. Like, I mean, this is not YMCA.
What
Calm
is
down.
this? Nautilin?
Right. So, yeah, so we wanted to branch out, and we actually did back in early days of Nerd Herder, back in like 2018, we did an episode on a book that helped inform some of this,
Yes.
Droidography. And it's a great book by a great author who's very fun with people. I remember when it came out and we were like nerding out and he interacted with us on Twitter and it was very nice. And he's recently done other things as well. He's done other similar kind of through the understand an entire demographic through one character.
Yeah.
Like for droidography, it's Roger, the battle droid who's had years of experience and all kinds of craziness.
I love Roger.
And like going through like this book could be in Star Wars almost as like what they're going for. And I love lore like that. It's not an encyclopedia. It's a story. It's more it's digestible that way and
Yeah.
everything.
It's like reading the Book of the Jedi that was published years and years and years ago
Yeah.
and is no longer canon.
No,
Um,
it's gray.
Semi-canon.
It's weird.
It's
I
not
mean,
the sacred
technically, it was
texts.
reprinted by Disney, and Disney's
Sure.
continued that series. It's one of those things, though, that I feel like if anything is up for grabs, it's that. Like, if anything could
Yeah.
change, it's that because it's
It's got
so
good information in it though.
right. But it's got so much information, and that's the problem. It has so much information that so much of that could change,
Mm-hmm.
and probably will. And so, yeah, we wanted to talk more widely about droids and everything and hit on some of the favorites who help us understand the groups, but really just talk about droids in general, the concept of droids and the implications of droids and maybe the hopes for droids because
Yeah.
we're technologically advanced people. Technology is on the verge of killing us.
Yeah.
Alexa's just one short circuit away.
Do they dream of electric sheep? I have that question.
And that's going to come up, I think, because we're going to have a pretty wide conversation of things. And I feel like personality is going to come up because
Yeah.
what makes the characters that we love so much, the fan favorites of R2 and 3PO, and all, like what makes them favorites is their personality. The only reason we can have them as main, like, you can't argue that they are not main characters. They
Mm-hmm.
are right up there with Chewie and Leia and all of those. There's a reason they've been in so many of the movies. And so, but you can't get that from just a machine. So to kind of start off with, I figured we would just talk about what are droids and everything, and kind of go over some of the. So there's the types of droids and then the classes. They're two different kind of things. So every type has a class, but classes are not necessarily types. So the classes are very similar or simple in that there's five classes, and it just basically, I think, regards what level of function they're capable of.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it goes in the reverse. So starting with like class five, you have hard labor and miscellaneous basic functions. So class five would be the most basic. This would be your smart device. This would be something that's just simple yet humanoid,
Yeah.
or at least task oriented, simple.
If you've been to Galaxy's Edge, the droid in the Ronto Roasters pit that's turning the Ronto.
Exactly. This is a Roomba. These are the things that like they have a function and they're technology, but they're not too far. They don't. Your Roomba's not going to make you toast.
Yeah, it's like the you know the bird in the Flintstones that comes out of the remote control, goes and
Yeah,
turns on the channel, and it's like it's a living.
exactly. These are those kinds where they do their thing and that's kind of it, and it's
Yeah.
simple. Class four are military and security tasks. It's interesting that this is so low, given it's such a serious kind of thing. But I feel like it's because there's not a lot of intelligence required to kill things.
You have a point. You have a
um,
lot. You have a big point there.
so the only difference between hard labor and military droids is what you're laboring, and so you're just one hydro press away. So, but like I feel like it's just that they don't have high intelligence, but they do have high functionality.
Yes.
They're just a specific functionality.
Yeah, they can
They
receive
kill.
orders. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think all droids have proven they can receive, they can deviate. Like, and I feel like that's a sign of artificial intelligence is you can receive information and make a decision, but you can only decide off of what you're given. You can't create new information to make a decision, if that makes sense.
I get what you mean.
Now, it is possible, but that's when you get into in Star Wars speak like the higher classes, but also in general you get into the much more like intensely built
Yeah.
and like the for instance, like your phone is smart to a degree. It learns, it digests information, but it can't do much with that. Versus, um, like a military grade AI, like they can take in far more information. They have much more storage and much more computing power. Like your phone would burn out on that kind of power. So I
Yeah.
think that's the difference. Is like you've got tactical droids that are fully functioning intelligent droids, and then you've got droids that can take basic functions. I mean, even R2 technically is a simple droid. I think it's just years of personality build up. Class 3 droids are skilled service and social sciences. So I feel like these are like protocol droids.
Yeah.
These are the much more like you can't just put anybody on this. This is what defines the difference between minimum wage and salary. Like it's like you have to have a certain level of program to be able to do this.
Yeah, you have to be able to find a Jogan fruit in a crowded marketplace and say, "Can I take your
Well,
answer?"
yeah, I mean, not wrong because you have to both understand what a Jogan fruit is and what makes it different from normal fruit. You have to be able to speak, make a transaction. Like, that's not wrong. That's a skilled science. Like, that's something that a protocol droid could do, but like a battle droid couldn't. The battle droid would just take it if you send it to retrieve something because it doesn't understand social stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It just understands task. Get the fruit. So, class two are engineering and technical sciences. So astromechs, and these are maybe even deeper than that. Like these are might even be droid builders themselves and everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're much more technically oriented. And then
Yeah.
class one, medical, physical, and analytical sciences. So actually, I think this might be, I believe, is the protocol droids. Um, with the analytical sciences, because I feel like the difference between class one and class three is maybe the amount of information they understand. I could look it up. I won't,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm stubborn. But
Let's for
put it
funsies.
out there. Yeah.
Okay, so where do you think that the T800 goes on this list?
I mean, military.
Yeah.
Um, Well, it's hard because I feel like it would get I feel like it'd get class 4 military regardless because
Hmm.
that is what it is. It just happens to be a smart one because I feel like technically commando droids and tactical droids might still be military because they are military oriented.
Hmm.
I feel like, the classes are very narrow in that although they have a subclass, like it's military intelligence, it goes with the primary
Yeah,
class, if that makes sense.
I agree. What about Wally? Where do you think Wally is on?
He's with engineering. He's with astromechs and everything because he is an astromech easily.
He is basically an astromech. I'd put like Eve at number one or at class one as well.
She's a protocol droid.
She's very
She
smart.
just doesn't look as humanoid as a protocol droid would.
Hmm.
So talking about that, then we can get into some of the breakups of what we have with droids, and so protocol droids. Protocol droids. I mean, we understand again. If you think of that, your first thought's probably C-3PO.
Yeah.
And so what we understand about them, we understand through C-3PO. But I feel like no protocol droid is meant to have as much human interaction and presence as he does because
Yeah.
he genuinely cares about his masters, quote unquote.
Yeah.
He's invested in their lives.
And I think that's partially the way that he's spoken to by, the big three
Mm-hmm.
in, you know, all three of the trilogies
Mm-hmm.
is like, he's spoken to like a person by Anakin, first off.
Mm-hmm.
He says very plainly, I'll tell mom not to, sell you or anything. Speaks to him like a friend. And then, I'm saying a lot. I'm noticing that, but it's fine. In the Clone Wars, he's given very, servant tasks
Mm-hmm.
by Padme. And again, spoken to like a person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same throughout the entire, saga of the Skywalkers. And I think that's why he is kind of the way that he is.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess technically there's no inhibitor on what information they can take in that
Yeah.
informs their function. I guess that it's just when that's overflown with such specific, and I guess you, you know, it does have to do with how you're treated because, I, you know, if it's just for getting the task done, you obviously wouldn't get this much like mutual affection. Like you wouldn't care so much. You just
Mm-hmm.
want to do the job. But yeah, I think it's all about how the droids are treated. I mean, it's like animals in a sense, in
Yeah.
that you get what you put, you get out what you put in, and if you treat them humanly,
Yeah.
then you'll get very human like
I
interactions.
mean, look at L3. And
Yeah,
you can argue that she is the way that she is because of the way that Lando treats her. Like,
yeah,
gives her the freedom to make her own decisions.
hmm
I think that's very important.
yeah.
Yeah.
Support your droids.
Support your droids, guys.
And L3 started out as an astromech, which is
Yes,
again
she did.
one that we see through the lens of very specific characters, mostly R2. But even more recently, we get characters like Chopper and BB-8. He is an astromech and
Who
everything.
both, all three of them have a potty mouth. Like, I think,
I know, not BB-8, not at all.
BB-8 is
BB-8 is
learning.
baby.
He's
Um,
learning it from Poe. He's learning
right.
it from Poe, and he's learning it from R2.
Yeah, but yeah, these are whereas they're less humanoid, so it's even more significant that their characters
Yeah.
are so human-like because
Yeah.
they are much more do this job, do this task kind of thing.
Yeah, I've said it before, but I love the way that Poe treats BB-8 like a dog.
Yeah,
Like that is his puppy.
well, that's why I say like it's not a far comparison to compare them in the way that they should be maybe treated or could be treated. I mean, I guess technically there are people that have the mind that animals are created for tasks. They have built-in functions for certain things. I
Hmm.
mean, it's the same argument of people are made to create babies. Like there's things that we do that are it's just built into us,
Yeah.
but that's not everything. Like your dog isn't just meant to be a super sniffer. Like he's not
No.
just meant to be your eyes when you can't see or something. Like there's personality clearly to animals. There's personality to droids.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at our very personality-driven dog at the
Yeah.
moment.
Um, and then you start to get into some of the less specific types. Like every other one has a kind of look, a type, you can think of generally what makes them up as you think of it. Protocol droids are very human looking. Astromechs are very functional.
Yeah.
They're like the great grandfather evolution of Roombas kind of thing, where they're a little bit more functional, but they're also a walking toolbox, so they do have some
Yeah.
heft to them. But then you get into labor droids and service droids where they go for function over fashion, I
Yeah.
guess, where they don't necessarily look as maybe sleek or even necessarily as friendly. They look like they're meant to get a job done.
Yeah, like one of my favorite droids that I have no idea what they're called, but it's the lever pulling droid that their entire function is to just
Yeah,
pull a lever.
I think the one in Return of the Jedi is like Ed 9 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's something simple, but like yeah, what I love about I love their faces. Clearly, they went personality in the face. They were like, let's make
Yes.
it look human, but then the body's just very pull and lever kind of
Yeah.
because that's the puppet. But
It's like the
like
butter robot. Is their primary function is to serve butter.
yeah. Well,
Like
and that's the thing is like they're not meant to run. They're not meant for physical exertion. They're meant to,
pull a
pull a
lever.
lever. I
I'm
guess.
going to make sure that this Ronto is roasted to perfection.
Perfectly. Yep.
Like that's
Well,
all
I
we
mean,
need.
if you're going to cut down on cost, I mean, why not? Because the thing is, you can build in safety features of he would know, okay, wait, something's wrong. I shouldn't pull the lever versus a lever that just automatically goes.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, technically, in factories, we have things like that where it's just like it's the tool.
Yeah, it's a camera.
Yeah, and so it knows when it shouldn't do its job,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not as cool.
It's one of those things. Like
Doesn't have a face.
it's the Mega Man I guess conundrum where Dr. Wily and Dr. Light both made robots for specific purposes, but have now been like taken over and are doing other things, but they were originally built for those specific
Sure.
purposes. Like
Yeah.
you've watched the
Well,
BDG video.
um, I mean, not that we would be able to get through each one specifically,
No,
like
yeah.
each like subgroup and everything, but like what I've come to find is that every droid is just one program away from being bad.
Every
You
droid is
know,
special.
and that's Mega Man's lore is every creation is just one bad,
Yeah.
villain day away from like their tasks weren't. I mean, specific ones are stupid, and it was clearly just made to be a villain.
Wait a minute. You mean that Cut Man might be stupid?
But there are other ones where you're like, oh, clearly they were trying to do something right, and it's that usual humanness we apply to machines and that they're out to get us. And so
Mm-hmm.
clearly, if we give it good functions, it doesn't matter. Programming is going to tell it to kill us. But
They
I
probably
mean,
deserve it.
everything is like, for instance, the probe, not the typical probe droids like the Hoth probe droids, but the syndrome or not syndrome, the Vile
Yeah.
one, the torture droid from episode 4. I call it a probe droid because it looks more like a probe droid.
It looks a lot like Pro Droid.
It just probes people, but
Ew.
it's listed as a security droid, and it's just like, I mean, that kind of makes sense. I mean, their job is security. They would question, they would interrogate, they would get answers.
It's just like a Jack Bauer version of security. I mean,
But it's like you can make that evil. Like versus, hey, bad things are going to happen if we don't get answers. Make the person talk. You go to, hey, I want to do bad things to these people. Make them talk. Like it's all about their programming input and everything.
mm-hmm.
Even certain droids like the more classic McCory style IG. I think it's 100 droids or something like that. They're security droids.
Yeah.
They're bouncers. Like,
Yeah.
but then you give them a gun and they're bigger threats. They
Yeah.
they don't just keep a building safe. They actively keep people out of it.
I love those boys. They've got broad chests and tiny
Yeah,
heads.
they're yeah.
They're so
That's a
weird
good trope.
looking.
Um, and then you've got surveillance droids of their own class. Which, speaking of probe droids, as we typically know them, it's just the difference of instead of just you're viewing things to keep it safe. No, you're viewing things so that we can learn and use that information to hurt people.
Yes.
And you can even build in features like lock picking and all this other stuff. It's just like it's all programming. It's all who controls the power.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's very similar to animals. animals.
Yeah, there's a really cool looking probe droid in Clone Wars that multiplies itself.
Yeah,
Like, it's really cool.
yeah. I mean, you can tell the ones that were created for bad function. Like
Yeah.
you can tell the ones, and that's what's interesting is droidography makes the point to mention battle droids and then war droids. Whereas war droids are your tanks, your like they carry missiles. Like they it's not a we changed it up. It used to carry ice cream, now it carries missiles. No, we made it to carry missiles. Like
Yeah.
versus battle droids, which are more not Trade Federation battle droids because those were made by Geonosians for bad stuff. But like what that class entails is security. It's
Yeah.
sending droids in to do what people shouldn't do because it's dangerous, which we do. We have robots that do that. We have bomb defusal, bomb retrieval, little dog robots that we
Yeah.
we use so people don't get hurt.
We have the Mars rover who is adorable.
Right, because humans can't be out there forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they get there more safely, they require a lot less upkeep, and then they can stay there for, well, ever until the battery dies.
Yep.
So, like, battle droids aren't bad. Like, they have a actually humanitarian function.
Unless they're Mr. Bones.
Well, yeah, but again, he was programmed in order to be bad to protect people.
You have a point.
So, like, it's just interesting realizing what I think we all kind of know in that they're just machines. Like they can't have evil.
Yeah.
Like they're incapable of it.
I think I just realized that I'm a member of the Bang Gang, and I'm gonna quickly remedy that. Let me just scoosh those back. Okay,
So, because
safe again.
that's the thing is like you can't a robot, a droid, an AI can't hate, no matter how much it wants to, because that is an emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Now it can be programmed to think maybe what that is, and it can do things that are hateful, but it can't actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
The T-800 doesn't try to kill John Connor because it hates him. It's what it's told to do.
Exactly. That's why it's so easy to, in the next movie, protect John Connor.
Right. So battle droids were significant because that was your initial like this would be a cool episode thing.
Yeah, I like battle
I think
droids.
we were watching episode 2 and everything, which there's plenty of droids.
Oh boy.
In. So I mean, what is it about battle droids for you?
I love their goofy faces.
Yes.
That's legitimately all.
Which
they look like big mouth Bailey Basses without the rest of the fish. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting half attempt at personality.
Mm-hmm.
Because clearly it's just vestigial.
Yeah, like it's literally just something for you to look at.
Yeah.
And I love all the different designs of battle droids that we get to see throughout the saga as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I told you earlier, I love the commando droids.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're so cool looking. I love the, stealth paint job. But I also love the ones that we saw in season 7 that were so
the
cool
pterodactyl looking ones.
Yes, I loved those. They were so unnecessary.
But what if they fly?
Exactly.
It's interesting.
So unnecessary, but so cool.
It's one of those things. I think they were somewhere that we saw where it was like built to look like that, like
Mm-hmm.
some actual animal. Which I mean, battle droids themselves are made to look like Geonosian, so it's kind of similar to where we see. And I think that's what's interesting about some of the creation of Star Wars. We wonder so much about like where did that come from? And
Yeah.
it's funny how much it's just a fact of like we make robots to look like us. We hate it, but we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Other species would do the same thing.
Yeah.
Star Wars species would do the same thing.
And another design thing that I absolutely adore about battle droids is the super battle droids. Those thick, broad-shouldered boys with tiny heads.
Mm-hmm.
It took me so long to realize that they had a tiny face on their huge broad shoulders.
Now they're a practical and fun example because they're the most vestigial faced droid. Because while they have like it literally is a battle droid face, but just
in their body.
Yeah, it's built in.
Them's got no neck.
That's not necessary because what a droid requires isn't what we think we require. We don't need a housing, or they don't need a housing for the brain because the brain is actually like throughout the system.
Yeah.
Eyes not as necessary. It just needs something that receives where things are. That can be anything from actual camera receiving information. Drones do that, but then there's also ones that it's so for instance, like the bomb dog droids I mentioned earlier, they don't
Yeah.
have heads and
Big dog.
faces because they have radar units. Like they sense things around them. Your
Oh.
Roomba does that. Your Roomba can't see the corner. It just has a thing that tells it, like most likely infrared, hey, an obstruction is coming. Now
Mhm.
the difference is the Roomba doesn't say kill it. you know,
No. Have you seen the videos from, I think it's Michigan Tech or something?
the dancing droids.
The dancing
Yeah.
droids, and also the big boys that stand on the two legs.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're called Brother or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. It's something familiar.
Mm-hmm.
But have you seen the videos of people bullying those droids?
Yeah, well, and that's
They're
and
very funny.
yeah, that it's all to test, that's what's interesting is you can tell a lot about a person when they watch those because people should naturally fear, like, stop
Yeah.
being mean to the, like,
I don't like that they're being mean to Kyle.
because we
Like,
apply, it looks like a person, it reacts like a person would if they
mm,
were pushed, like,
yeah.
it's very human, so we apply human emotion to it. We're like, no, stop, that's wrong.
There's a book that I keep passing in the shelf at work. It's called "You Look Like a Thing, I Love You."
Hmm.
It's about how humans pack bond with like inanimate objects because they look like
Yeah,
something that we should protect.
right. Well, and and it's just it's interesting. I don't know what it says about a person if they're just, like the people that do it. I hope do feel bad
I
in a way,
hope they
but
do.
I don't know if you can't feel bad. But I mean, I guess if you have a hand in building it, But then there's also that Joaquin Phoenix movie where he falls in love with a robot too. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like he built it, but he still loves it. So it's weird.
Yeah,
It's hard. It's hard to quantify what it means.
it's very intense personification.
Yeah.
Like growing up, I had that with my stuffed animals, like
Yeah.
to an
Lots of kids
intense
do.
degree, because
Toy Story.
Toy Story,
Oh,
one
really?
hundred percent,
Yeah.
because like
You don't
that
want them coming
screwed
after
up
you.
so many
Yeah.
people. Yeah,
Yeah, because they're always watching.
yeah,
Um, we have a lot of things that could kill us if that were the case.
right.
Thank goodness not.
Oh man, and we saw Toy Soldiers at such a young age.
Right. Small soldiers.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Small Soldier. Toy
But
Soldiers is the movie with Sean Astin and Will Wheaton.
oh no, what am I thinking? There's a Robin Williams movie about toys, isn't there?
Yeah, it's called Toys.
Is it? Okay.
I
I've
think.
never seen it
I'm
because
pretty
Robin
sure.
Williams is in it, and I feel bad.
You
I know.
suck
It's
so much.
I don't hate the guy. It's just he doesn't tickle me. It's just kind of like meh,
He tickles me,
and that's fine.
and you learned recently that he was roommates with Christopher Reeve,
Right? That's probably the coolest thing he's ever done, other than naming his child Zelda. Like,
right?
goodness gracious.
Like,
He's a very interesting man.
incredibly so,
I'm more enamored with the man than the character.
and that's fine.
Um,
Like, he was an incredible person in
yeah,
general. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to get into it because I'm gonna make myself sad.
Understandable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love the variety. And again, you kind of see with battle droids though, the thing of they go from having a sort of function to just being all out. We're making these to win the war kind of
Yes.
things. But what's interesting is probably the most real world relatable droids we have are battle droids, war droids, which
Yeah.
is kind of sad. But
We have the drones.
yeah, we have drones. We have, not AI controlled tanks. We're not that far, but we have remote controlled,
Hmm.
small artillery tanks and everything like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, we have a friend who works in intelligence for the U.S.
Yeah,
Army,
he is
and
a drone.
he literally just watches cameras all day.
And so yeah, we have those functions. Like we've
Hmm.
learned to use technology in very similar ways. But yet again, it's one of those things where the more technology serves us, the more we feel like we're giving it power to overthrow us. Um,
Yeah.
which I love the storylines though, where they're like the robots are justified because
Oh,
humans suck.
we're terrible.
I love the, like, I mean, Fifth Element has it. She's not a droid, but it's the thing of like digesting all of humanity and being like, make a judgment. Do they deserve to live? And
Yeah.
it's like, no.
No.
I'm
Like,
not saying that about humanity. Don't come after me,
yeah.
FBI, but
I
you know what I
know
mean.
I've referenced it so many times on this show and like to you in normal conversation, but the short story "I Have No Mouth but I Must Scream."
Yeah,
Like that is a story
which has a
about
video game.
yeah. Well,
It's the
it's
weirdest
a
thing.
point and click game.
Yeah, I mean, well,
It's great.
it's a video game.
Um,
They're real to me, dang it.
they are real. If you die in the game, you die for real. But that entire story is about a rogue AI that gains sentience and he looks at all of humanity because he was built as a war machine.
Hmm.
He looks around and he goes, "These humans don't deserve to live.
Right.
They're the threat."
Yeah.
Like it was adapted into Eagle Eye.
Which yeah, I love that freaking
Such a
movie.
good movie.
Um, it's one of those things I think deep down we understand that humans suck. It's
Oh
one of
yes.
big, when we create stories like that, we create it with an understanding that, man, if somebody else looked at this,
Mm-hmm.
what would we be judged for? And it's
Yeah.
scary, but it's meant to be. Don't fear technology because at the end of the day, I don't think
Oh yeah.
Skynet's happening. But what I do think is we, instead of withholding, creativity and development of the human race because of our fear of how bad the human race is, we should just try to be better. We should just try to actually be humans that robots would want to be like.
Yeah.
Pinocchio syndrome, where we would rather robots that want to be like humans than to destroy humans.
Data. For Pete's
Yeah,
sake, like
like
Data is
probably
fantastic.
Data's a great evolution of what I think Protocol Droid should turn into. Like I would love that to happen in Star Wars if we
Mm-hmm.
advance far enough, because that makes total sense. A full synthetic Protocol Droid. I mean, he is C3PO just with artificial flesh and such. I mean, he's got a little bit more emotion to him, obviously. That's the whole point. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's the natural evolution, I think, of Protocol Droids there.
I freaking love Data as a character and as a droid in general. I
Hmm.
think he might be my favorite droid
Overall, like in
overall
all of science fiction,
in all of science fiction
that's
because
fair.
he is so human.
My favorite is, I think his name is Sam from that one Outer Limits episode. I think it's
Yeah, yeah, it is
Sam.
Sam.
I
Oh,
love that. I
that
love that story.
that show, it's so good.
So speaking of though, that gets us into our next interesting topic. So we asked the world, and the world answered, or at least like 32 people. And so, but for us, who slash what? So one that it's this character, but then next level, what's your favorite type of
Hmm.
droid? So who's your favorite droid and what is your favorite
For me, my favorite droid is 000.
droid?
I love the
We didn't even get
concept.
into those kind of anomalies.
I freaking love 000. I think he's such a good character. Like, if you've never read the Dr. Aphra
Yeah,
comics, imagine C3PO, but
but
with
evil.
bloodlust.
Now, a quick caveat is that just continues to further validate the conversation of programming, because the only reason
Hmm.
he's like that is
He,
his
yeah,
matrix.
he
He
gets downloaded the 000
he
Matrix.
is meant to be evil. He was programmed to be evil. That's the difference. That's why C3PO is never going to do that, but a droid that's programmed to will. So,
Exactly.
anyway.
And he has a evil R2D2 friend as well. Like, it's so good. It, yeah, he's from the Dr. Aphra comics.
Hmm.
Darth Vader basically wants a murder droid to do his bidding.
Yeah, I mean, Afro wants him, I guess, for just the sake of, like, she loves things that are murderous.
Yes, she does.
And she and Vader get there at the same time, and Vader just sees him as useful,
Hmm.
and makes sure that he stays useful. But eventually he stops being useful.
Yeah,
But then, you've got to read a very good and recommended story to get
very,
all of that.
very
So,
recommended. But yeah, I love the concept of a droid that is made for something but completely goes off script
yeah, I
because of
mean,
programming.
the thing is, he could have any housing.
Oh yeah,
That just happens to be the one he was given, and I think
he could be a mouse
it's
droid.
completely on purpose. Thank you, Charles Soule. Or
Oh,
no, Karen Gillan, I think actually.
I don't
Um,
remember honestly.
I think it was Karen Gillan.
Yeah. If he had a voice, I think it would be either Taika Waititi or Vincent Price.
See, okay, yeah, no, I feel like he is classic maniacal evil
Oh
scientist
yes.
voice. I feel like, definitely like Vincent Price. There's actually and I hate that I don't remember his name, but he used to do the narration for the um, G1 Classic Transformers show, and he would preface everything, and like introduce, last time on Transformer. Like he just had a very radio show voice, and that was
Mm-hmm.
why he was hired and everything. And he is passed. He was elderly then, and I mean that was 35 years ago, or 40 actually. Steve Bloom, though, who does Zeb, who
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars fans would know, but I mean, he's from Cowboy Bebop. He's from golly
Yes,
everything.
I
He's
would
played
know him.
in Transformers and everything. He does a good impression of him. I'll have
Yeah.
to let you hear it, but
Yeah,
if
definitely.
you pull up an old Transformers episode, then you'll hear it. But he's got that good,
Hmm.
gritty, evil science voice.
If I had to pick a modern day actor, I think it would be Bill Hader. Because Bill Hader does a fantastic Vincent Price impression.
Really,
Yes, he
I'd
does.
be okay.
He does a very
We're
good
gonna be
one.
sharing impressions after this, apparently. So,
Uh,
so what's your favorite droid?
my favorite droid type is Gonk droids.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of their big
Because they're
doofy
adorable.
bodies.
Yeah,
They just waddle from side to side. They're like droid penguins.
yeah,
And they're
pretty much.
literally just batteries. That's their entire function. They just walk from one room to another and they be a battery in that room.
Yeah.
I adore that. like I
Some people are that way. They just exist to rejuvenate other people, and
like
we
that's gonna
thank you.
be an insult from one side at one point or another. That's gonna be you're such a gonk
You're
droid.
such a gonk droid.
You just go into another room.
Oh
Like
my
no.
gosh.
But yeah, I think it's been no secret that I love gonk droids. Every
Hmm.
time we saw one at Galaxy's Edge, I was just like
Yeah,
gonk.
it's nice.
Yeah.
Um,
Or mouse droids. I also like
I
mouse
think
droids.
my favorite droid character, and it's actually hard because I love so many so much and everything, but I feel like my favorite is Chopper,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's a lot of back and forth. It's very hard, but I think overall he's the most human personality.
Mm-hmm.
R2 is still a good person. Like that's the at the end of the day, and it's all who you're around, I guess. But
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, Rebels, the Ghost Crew is just a more human version of the main characters of
Yeah.
Star Wars.
They
Like
have honor but low
yeah,
standards.
like whereas freaking Luke Skywalker is super honorable and right and moral. Kanan's just like, I don't know, dude. I don't understand it either. Like I love it. And it's not a knock. I love the Ghost Crew and everything. But anyway, so I think though with Chopper it's just down to that human aspect where it's just more real. He's seen things, he's felt things, and he
Yeah.
cares deep down, but he also doesn't because he's also like, I'm a droid. What? Ugh,
Yeah.
so I just love that about him. I love that it's Dave Filoni. But anyway, so yeah,
Yeah.
I love them. Bucket's a close second, but Bucket doesn't get as much
No.
personality in Star Wars
Bucket
Resistance,
is
which is a
adorable.
shame.
Like we
um
for Chopper, we had a moment where we were watching Rebels through a while ago when we first started watching it, but there was just a moment where he just went, "The heck is that?"
right.
We were just like, "Oh, he's speaking human."
Yeah. Yeah, I love those moments. And he just has so much personality.
Yeah.
Um as far as what is my favorite type of droid, I'm with a lot of people who's either said this was their favorite droid or was their favorite kind of droid. And it's I don't know what type he is, but BD1 from Jedi Fallen Order, because he is
Mm.
basically an astromech but way more mobile.
He's a parrot.
He's a puppy.
He's a
He's a
baby.
babe. Like he's can fit in much better places. He's just easier to get around. It's just like, as much as I love R2 and Chopper,
Mm-hmm.
like they're inconvenient in very specific situations. So, and then never mind, like, I mean, who cleaned R2 after the swamp? Like there was probably stuff everywhere,
Yeah.
versus a droid that could just like very daintily, avoid such excursions and everything. I love that type of droid. I'm so grateful it's been
Yeah.
introduced and everything.
Yeah, I've seen a few like idle animations of Cal like calling him up onto his shoulder.
Yeah,
It's really cute.
he's adorable. And, I mean, they went full puppy with it, and it's
They
so much
did.
better than, again, even BB-8 is inconvenient. He's more mobile. They learned, they made him smaller, which is how technology advances and everything. But again, you can't carry him.
No, yeah, he can go upstairs,
Like
but like
one of my um, least favorite, I don't know. One of the things that stands out to me is there's the scene in The Force Awakens when they're escaping the TIE fighters on Jakku, and they do a couple of barrel rolls and everything, and BB-8 just kind of gets jostled around, and the way he sounds when he hits, he is solid.
mm-hmm.
He is absolutely heavy.
Mm-hmm.
That would hurt. I don't like that. He's a cannonball. He's a sentient cannonball, and I don't like it. So
Yeah.
versus BD1, who is just, I mean, probably the weight of a small cat or maybe a fat cat. I don't know, but I love it so
Yeah.
much.
I
So
think
useful.
it's the same kind of I guess design choices as Dio, where like they're designed after something very specific, and
Yeah.
they're both adorable.
Well, and BD1 definitely evokes some Johnny Five vibes too,
Mm.
with his just very rectangular, like VCR shaped head.
See, you say Johnny Five. I always get Johnny
Johnny
Five.
Mnemonic.
Yep,
Yeah.
I always get Johnny Five mixed up
I
with
love
Johnny
Short
Mnemonic.
Circuit.
I just Short Circuit is awesome, but Johnny Mnemonic, it's great.
It's a
It's
movie.
Keanu Reeves.
I mean,
If there's a
it's
talking
that and that
dolphin.
vampire one, but it's just like, golly, how did he get John Wick? I can understand Bill and Ted, but John Wick, man, he's come a long way.
You're so
It was
mean.
Matrix. It was Matrix. Let's be honest. He got a good gig with that one, and I can't wait to see him come back.
You're so mean to my film tastes.
It's not that bad of a remark. I don't think. I'm just saying there's some special movies.
It's the tone behind it.
I only know one tone, and it's condescending.
Exactly.
So what do you think are the most useful droids? So both in the idea of what if you could bring it over directly from Star Wars, or if something currently could develop further, what like blended kind of droid would you say is the most useful, needed? What would make the most impact, maybe?
I think pit droids.
Yeah.
It's not an oft thought of.
Oh,
Um,
there's some of my favorites. I
I
used to doodle those boys all the time.
I love the noises they make. But yeah, pit droids I think are the most useful droid.
Yeah, I had a Star Wars learn to draw book as a kid, and for some reason, I just drew pit droids over and over and over, and it was just like such a proud thing of like I could draw this, and I got that was
Hmm.
one of the first um, yeah character things I could draw from memory, like but long before Goku and all of that, I could draw pit droids all day.
Yeah, you do a darn fine Vegeta as well.
Right. So
Um,
yeah, I agree with that. They're a very special type of labor droid, and I feel like they're what could develop in the future.
and they're portable.
Yeah,
You just hit the nose.
right, and that shows you their function and
Hmm.
everything. I do see military droids going further. I do see military science getting to that point where we could feasibly have and that's what they're working towards is in a situation if we could send in something that could just do the job, would that not save lives and everything? And I mean,
Yeah.
it would be helpful because it means more people coming home to their families and everything. And I know we like to think of it just as oh cool kill robot, but
Hmm.
it none of them serve that function. None of it's to do the job of killing. It's to do the job of protecting soldiers.
Yeah.
Now, and that's always going to be the argument. Though I would also make the argument that soldiers don't necessarily go in the field to negotiate, but it would be a situation where a droid or a robot couldn't have a conversation with an adversary.
Unless it's a tactical
They
droid.
couldn't. Well, yeah, but then you sacrifice something for intelligence usually, because that's what you see with the Trade Federation is you've either got brain droids or you got function droids, muscle
Hmm.
droids. So like either they do something or they think something. You can't put them together because I mean I feel like you could, but it takes so much, and they wouldn't be readily available.
Or you just kidnap another member of the opposing army and put them in a
Yeah,
fridge.
you combine them. I
Yeah.
mean, what better than a super soldier droid? I mean, Jean Claude Van Damme.
No.
I love that movie.
No. I know you do.
What about stupid droids? Droids that don't need to happen, but probably will because we're American.
Baby, we already got mouse droids.
Right? I mean,
Like,
well, no, no, right, not really.
well, I mean, we have little RC controlled mouse droids.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
but like, what do they do? What do they do
They send
really?
messages from one place to another.
My phone does that. What are we doing here?
I'm changing my ringtone to the mouse droid noise now. Like
um,
that's amazing.
but mouse droids aren't stupid droids though.
No, they're not.
That's not a bad decision.
Um, I want a lever pulling droid just to pull
I
levers.
yeah I as much as I love those boys, as much as I love a droid that just does one thing, especially in the background, over
Yes.
and over.
It
Uh,
is so funny. Like every time I see one on the screen when we're
yeah,
watching any
insert
movie, I'm
Leonardo
just like,
DiCaprio meme here. um, Yeah, as fun as they are, I have to agree. Like, no, that doesn't need to
They're
happen.
so silly.
That's kind of silly. Especially now that we have the ability to put that sort of intelligence in the tools. Again, I mentioned
Yeah.
factories, that conveyor belts. Like, there's so many things that do a thing, and if something's wrong, they can stop. They can, whatever. That's all that droid does. I mean, now you could argue that they're working with old tech, so they had to create a droid to work with the old tech. But
Mm-hmm.
why wouldn't you just make new tech?
Okay. Speaking of droids, I just remembered this because I thought of Flubber,
Mm-hmm.
and then I remembered that Jarvis is a thing, and
Yeah.
then my brain went to Vision, and I got asked by a coworker recently,
Mm-hmm.
"Do you think that Vision is an android?" Big sip. What do you think?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting a short answer or a short question. Um, yes, no. Um,
I mean, if he can share genetic material, I don't think
yeah,
so.
well, no, no, that's what I was saying is no, because he would lean technically more towards cyborg in a way.
That's what I'm thinking.
Um, I mean, I don't know entirely the makeup. I'd have to rewatch Age of Ultron to understand what went into making him,
Yeah, because
because
I
they
think
they talk about him as hardware, and I do
yeah,
think that in a way he is that. But I now usually what defines a cyborg is the personality, the sentience of it. I think.
yeah, and I think he certainly does have a personality.
Yeah, so I mean, depending on how you define your things, I think way more cyborg than
Mm-hmm.
android. Um, I think uh, I think that Ultron was more of an android.
Yes, 100%.
Um,
Like his whole thing was AI.
yeah, so I think that's the difference. I would say that Ultron is android, but he was longing to be a cyborg, which because he meshes a little bit, he recognizes there's qualities of humanity I need to be able to execute my schemes.
Yeah,
I have to evolve. That was his whole thing. So, great movie.
great
Good
movie.
stuff. We're loving WandaVision,
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah.
So,
We're gonna do an episode at
yeah,
some
we'll
point.
talk about it.
We'll
We'll
talk
talk about
about
it
it.
when it's over, probably over on Nerdyverse and everything. Which, speaking of, we do have exciting things coming with Nerdyverse. We have a lot of cool stuff that's not Star Wars to talk about.
Mortal
Yeah, Mortal
Kombat.
Kombat is getting a new movie, and it looks amazing. And so we're gonna want to talk about the originals first, and then
Yes.
just shun them away
You guys are
with
going
the
to have to
new
sit
glory.
through us talking about Annihilation like we had to sit through the freaking movie. All right? I have feelings.
Well, in reality, we're probably going to talk so much about the first one, we won't have time for Annihilation.
100%. We're just going to say Annihilation was bad
Yeah,
and then move on.
it's that insert cue card. Annihilation happened, and then just move on. um, and then Godzilla versus King Kong.
Oh,
I'm a big
yes.
kaiju boy, and so
Oh no.
right, I'm technically tall enough to be a kaiju. And so
But you're not Japanese.
we want to talk about that. Well, if King Kong is a kaiju, technically it doesn't
If
matter.
the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man is a kaiju,
Kaiju just means big monster. It's just in the language of the Japanese. So technically, kaiju aren't Japanese. They're just
Sasquatch.
that's what they call them. Yeah.
Kaiju.
No. 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 We're not getting into this. No.
Shaquille O'Neal. Kaiju.
No. I gosh, I just don't know. Anyway, we're gonna have to talk about that, I guess. Um, and then some other things down the road. Definitely, there's plenty of things to talk about.
Yep.
Down the road with Nerdyverse as well, and then we have some chit chat and some Rebels down the pipes as well. People have asked about Rebels, and it is coming back. We've had to rearrange some things just based on having to go back to certain things. So it is on the way, and it'll be fun and great, and we'll have a good time. But all that's to come. So make sure that you're subscribed either to the podcast or to YouTube, wherever this happens to go, so that you can get whatever's next and have fun with that. And while you're subscribing to us and giving us love, give our friends love. We have
Mm-hmm.
Game Infinite. Game Infinite covers all kinds of gaming things, and there's lots of gaming things happening. Star Wars gaming things even.
Yeah.
And so if you want to
Big
be
things.
in the up and up on gamey things, Game Infinite, our friend Jesse is the one to follow. You can find links to that in the description, or you can find them on Twitter and Instagram as well. And also, Red5, if you
Yeah,
like our podcast,
the Maroon 5 Network, as it has
there
been
are
called.
plenty of other awesome podcast people as well. And they're all part of Red 5. It's just a network of other people that do crazy things like us, sometimes better than us, mostly better than us.
Yeah,
And yeah, you should give them some attention. So, if in between our episodes, if you need something to get you by, Red 5 is full of cool people as well to get you by and have fun with. Don't take it all too seriously.
please don't. It, like,
Especially anything Cam does.
no, no, nothing Cam
don't
does.
don't
Do
take
not
it
take
seriously.
him seriously at all.
But he's amazing.
He's
And
alright.
they're all great. And so we appreciate all of our friends and support. We appreciate our patrons who make this possible. Um,
We
our pa-
appreciate you.
our patron thing is simple. If you want to support this madness and its existence on the airwaves, you do what you want to do with your money. We're not gonna, you know, we'll thank you for it actually, but we won't judge. Although you could probably do better things with your
Yeah,
money.
you're funding the Bang Gang.
But Jim, Rebecca, and Doug are amazing people that support what we do, and we appreciate it. But there's room on Patreon. We don't do a whole lot there, but we talk a lot, and that's the
Yes, we do.
important thing. Lots of our patrons have input into what goes on here, and so it's just supporting the show, and we appreciate it. Um, and then yeah, I mean, just excited about what's happening. Excited about Gang Bang Bang Gang. Oh gosh, this
Turn
is fair.
turn it off. Turn it off. We've done enough. No more podcasts.
That's it. We're canceled.
We're canceled. We are.
We're canceled.
This is the sound of cancellation.
Yes.
They've taken our equipment. They're running away with it.
This is the cone of shame.
We're in the
and
dungeon.
cancellation.
1,000 years dungeon.